and the commissioning of USS Massachusetts. I'm Commander Joshua Hightower, the ship's executive officer. On behalf of the crew of the Massachusetts, I would express our sincere gratitude for joining us here today. Before our celebration begins, please silence your cell phones. Thank you. We are here today to celebrate the commissioning of USS Massachusetts, the sixth ship to bear the name of the Bay State. The first Massachusetts, built in 1845, was a wooden steamer that saw action during the Mexican-American War. The second, built in 1860, was an iron screw steamer that saw action in the American Civil War. The next Massachusetts BB-2 was an Indiana-class battleship that served in the Spanish-American War. And the fourth, originally a privately owned fast cargo ship, was purchased by the Navy and turned into a mine lair. The fifth, and the most notable Massachusetts, BB-59, was the third of four South Dakota-class battleships. She's affectionately known as Big Mammy to her crew. She was commissioned in 1942 and served in the Pacific Theater as an escort ship for fast carrier task forces. She saw action in the Gilbert and Marshall Islands campaigns, the Philippines, supported Allied forces at the Battle of Okinawa, and bombardment campaigns against Honshu, Japan. She served the United States fleet until 1962. In her career, she earned 11 battle stars. Today, BB-59 continues to inspire as a museum ship here in Fall River. The crew, who you see in formation behind you, are proud to carry on the rich and proud legacy of honor, courage, and commitment passed down to us by previous generations of seagoing warfighters. We are honored to have several Gold Star families with us this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and be recognized. In addition to United States Navy Captain Retired Thomas G. Kelly, we are honored to have two fellow Medal of Honor recipients join us this morning. United States Army Sergeant Major Thomas Payne and former United States Army Staff Sergeant Ryan Pitts. Gentlemen, please stand and be recognized. Would all active duty veterans and first responders please stand? Would all of our military and first responder families please stand? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your service and your sacrifice. Please be seated. The new Massachusetts moored before you, affectionately referred to as a boat by the members of the submarine community and our crew, will soon join America's silent service. SSN 798 is a Virginia-class submarine with her sister ships. She represents a revolution in submarine design, construction, and mission capability. Brimming with leading-edge technology and advanced engineering, this vessel brings versatility and firepower to the fleet. Massachusetts and the Virginia-class are among the most effective platforms in the United States Navy, and this warship takes another step forward in advancing that superiority of the submarine force. She's capable of operating in the far corners of the world's oceans, connected to air, sea, and land-based forces, and these submarines are equipped to wage multidimensional warfare around the globe. Massachusetts' adaptability makes her highly responsive to changing mission requirements and provides the nation the capabilities required to be decisive in any conflict. In addition to anti-submarine warfare, anti-surface warfare, counter-mine warfare, Massachusetts will support surveillance, special operations, and covert strike missions. Construction began on the submarine you see behind me in December of 2020 at Newport News Shipbuilding in Virginia. She was christened on May 6, 2023. Today, USS Massachusetts is tested and battle-ready. We are very proud to serve on the newest attack submarine in the United States Navy. Go. Thank you for allowing each of us the privilege to serve our nation as part of your Navy. This commissioning ceremony is a time-honored tradition that began with the commissioning of the Navy's first ship, a captured British schooner, the Margarita, in 1775. Since then, thousands of ships have undergone that transition from silent hull to fully alive warship. My shipmates, our crew, hereafter known as plank owners, are in formation and ready. In just a few moments, Navy Band Northeast and the 1st Battalion, 101st Field Artillery Regiment, Saluting Battery, will render honors to the Honorable Maura Healey. Will the guests please rise and remain standing for the arrival of our official party, honors, the presentation of colors, our national anthem, and the invocation. Ladies and gentlemen, our platform guests. Lieutenant Commander Daniel Chung, Chaplain Corps, United States Navy, our ceremony chaplain. Captain Dennis Pimentel, United States Navy, retired, Chairman, USS Massachusetts Commissioning Committee. Captain Mike Hollenbach, United States Navy, Program Manager, Virginia-class submarine program. Captain Tyler Forrest, United States Navy, Commander, Submarine Squadron 8. Medal of Honor recipient and retired United States Navy Captain Thomas G. Kelly, our long glass presenter. Ms. Carrie Wilkinson, President, Newport News Shipbuilding. The Honorable Robert Santiago, representing the Mayor's Office as the Veteran Services Commissioner for the City of Boston. Rear Admiral Jonathan Rucker, United States Navy, Program Executive Officer, Attack Submarines. Vice Admiral Richard Seif, United States Navy, Commander, Submarine Forces. Vice Admiral Robert Goucher, United States Navy, Submarines Direct Reporting Portfolio Manager. The Honorable David Denton, General Counsel of the Navy. Sir. Admiral William Houston, United States Navy, Director, Naval Nuclear Propulsion Program. The Honorable Seth Moulton, United States Representative, State of Massachusetts, 6th District. Ladies and gentlemen, our ship sponsor, Ms. Sheryl Sandberg, escorted by Master Chief Petty Officer Edward Brennan III, the Massachusetts Chief of the Boat. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Maura Healey, Governor, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, escorted today by Commanding Officer Michael J. Siedzma. Ladies and gentlemen, honors to the Honorable Maura Healey. And salute. Platform, ready, 2. Advance the colors.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Retire the colors. Platform, ready, 2. We would like to thank the Navy Band Northeast, Miss Pauline Wells, the Massachusetts Army National Guard Saluting Battery, and the Ancient Honorable Artillery Company Color Guard for their participation in the ceremony today. In addition, we wish to acknowledge the Massachusetts Port Authority and its Board of Directors, led by Mr. Richard Davey, as well as Massport Police Chief John Tien. We further recognize Governor Healy and Massachusetts State Police Superintendent Jeffrey Noble. We also extend our appreciation to Mayor Michelle Wu and the City of Boston, and the Boston Police Department and Fire Department, led by Police Commissioner Michael Cox and Fire Commissioner Paul Burke. And last but certainly not least, the USS Massachusetts Commissioning Committee, led by retired U.S. Navy Captain Dennis Pimentel. Thank you for all making this day's events possible. Ladies and gentlemen, Chaplain Chung will now deliver the invocation.
Let us pray. Eternal Father, sovereign of the deep, we invoke your favor upon the Massachusetts and the inaugural crew who now bring her to life. Bless the steel that shields them and the silence that protects them. Grant them the courage of the Commonwealth whose name she bears. May her hull be a fortress and her spirit a beacon in the abyss. Bless the sleepless watch and the steady pulse of her engines. In the crushing pressure of the depths, be their peace. O Lord, submerge them in your grace, that they may move unseen by the foe and shielded by your hand. lead them through the dark to victory, and bring them safely home to a nation that honors the depths of their silent service. It's in your holy name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Chung. Will the guests please be seated? Massachusetts, parade, rest. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Maura Healey.
Good morning, and thank you, Commander Hightower. Officers and sailors, family and friends, sponsors and supporters, it is my high honor to welcome the USS Massachusetts to Massachusetts. Thank you all for being here on this historic occasion. It's going to be warm someday, so thank you for your hardiness, Bay Staters, and all those who've come to Boston this morning to celebrate and to honor something truly incredible. I only wish that you could have the experience that I have right now, looking out at all of you, Gold Star families, those who have served, generations of service, young people who I know will take from this experience today an aspiration to serve their country. You know, the first responders, all who are keeping guard and keeping us safe, it is truly, truly special. To General Counsel Denton, Admiral Houston, Vice Admiral Seif, Vice Admiral Gauscher, Commander Siedzma, thank you for your care, sir, and escort, and your officers and crew. Ship sponsor, Ms. Sandberg, thank you for bringing this forward. Good to see you again. Captain Hollenbach, Captain Tom Kelly, always an honor. Captain Pimentel and the Commissioning Committee, Congressman Moulton, members of our state legislature, members of the Boston City Council, Mayor Wu, our state's new Secretary of Veteran Services, Dr. Eric Guralnick. You will like this. He is a proud graduate of the United States Naval Academy. Yeah. To all the members of the military and veterans here today, we thank you for your service to our country. I'm governor of this great state. I happen to be born at Bethesda Naval Hospital. I serve along a terrific Lieutenant Governor, Kim Driscoll, whose dad proudly served in the Navy for years, and because of that, she ended up landing in Massachusetts. So we are proud to be here today with all of you. And to all of the military family members, we thank you as well for your support and sacrifice. It is really something and an honor to have this marvelous vessel commissioned into service in the state from which it takes its name. As governor, I'm proud to have issued a proclamation declaring March 28, 2026 to be USS Massachusetts Day in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And it could not be more fitting, right? Because the USS Massachusetts represents so much that we cherish in our state, so much that will keep our great nation strong. The USS Massachusetts represents our proud naval history. In this 250 year of our nation's founding, our nation's independence, we have never been more proud that the journey started here in Massachusetts. You know the stories of Lexington and Concord, Bunker Hill, the events of Evacuation Day, and all that happened on Dorchester Heights right here in South Boston. That history also gave us our Navy. In September of 1775, then General George Washington himself commissioned the schooner Hannah out of Beverly, Massachusetts. He directed its commander and crew to intercept British supply ships. And since that time, countless ships, boats, and crews have served and defended our nation's shores right here in the Bay State. And several have borne our state's name. The last USS Massachusetts was a battleship that served with distinction in World War II, both in the Atlantic and Pacific campaigns. It now serves as a museum at Battleship Cove in Fall River, one of our great port cities. The first USS Massachusetts was a wooden steamer built in the legendary shipyard of Samuel Hall in East Boston in 1845. And the legacy goes back even further. In 1791, on the direct orders of Treasury Secretary Alexander Hamilton, the Commonwealth built the USRC Massachusetts in Newburyport. This cutter was the first of 10 ships that formed the fleet of the Revenue Marine, the precursor to the United States Coast Guard. It's one of the reasons that we proudly claim the birthplace of the U.S. Coast Guard as well as the U.S. Navy. And I'll just throw in the National Guard, 16-something back in Salem, Massachusetts, born right here. The USS Massachusetts also represents our state's role today as the global capital of innovation. I know naval tradition holds that submarines are referred to as boats instead of ships due to their size. That's right? Okay. This boat. Well, that is one heck of a boat, okay? I was at Gillette the other day. It's bigger than a football field, this boat. And it contains some of the most advanced technology known to mankind. This stunning Virginia-class attack submarine is equipped with the most cutting-edge stealth, propulsion, intelligence, and payload systems ever devised. It was built in Virginia, another great Commonwealth and state with proud history, in collaboration between Newport News Shipbuilding and General Dynamics. General Dynamics is a leading employer here in Massachusetts, with operations spanning from Pittsfield on the New York border to the site of the famous Four River Shipyard in Quincy, where the last USS Massachusetts was built. Which brings me to the future. I'm proud that much of the technology behind this magnificent boat was designed and developed here in Massachusetts. And in Massachusetts, we are leaning into our defense sector leadership in a big way and at an important time. Last year, we launched the SHIELD initiative, the strategic hub for innovation, exchange, and leadership in defense. We're bringing our defense sector together with our military installations and our high-tech innovators and investors. Together, they're catalyzing new startups and technologies that will strengthen our country's defense, support our men and women in uniform, and create great jobs. General Dynamics, by the way, is an important partner in SHIELD. Looking at the USS Massachusetts here today, you get a sense of all that is possible when world-class innovation meets the patriotic mission of defending and advancing our nation. Most importantly, the USS Massachusetts represents service. This boat is crewed by the finest sailors ever trained and tested, the men and women of the United States Navy. I hope the young people who I see in this audience today take note of the 134 men and women behind them. I hope that someday you too will answer the call. Because all the freedoms, all the privileges that we enjoy today as Americans are only possible because of those who've served. All that and more is what we honor and celebrate today. So to our guests, Massachusetts welcomes you. We thank you. We congratulate you. We wish the USS Massachusetts and all who serve on her safety and success as you undertake this historic commission. God bless you. God bless all of our service members, and God bless the great United States of America.
Thank you, Governor Healy. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Carrie Wilkinson.
Good morning. What an honor to be invited to this platform today to make remarks. I can't begin to tell you how special it is to be here in Boston representing Newport News Shipbuilding. Not only to acknowledge the remarkable efforts of the nearly 26,000 dedicated and resilient shipbuilders in our yard, but also our teammates at Electric Boat, our network of supplier partners across the country, our Navy teammates, and most certainly our sailors. I will be brief this morning as my message is simple. As we celebrate Massachusetts today and release her to the wild, I will focus on gratitude, as there are so very many reasons to be grateful. For shipbuilders choosing to serve by putting on steel toes and hard hats and investing all of their skills and tenacity to provide such a platform. For our families, without whom none of us would be able to serve this mission as long or as steadfastly. For our sailors, who stand the watch and protect the freedoms that we so often take for granted. For our sponsor, for giving of her time, spirit, and for her care for the well-being of her sailors. For the world's greatest Navy, and the service they provide in the protection of economic prosperity, national security, and rules-based international order. And for our great nation that affords us the rights and privileges that so few of us fully deserve. Being a shipbuilder is not a job. It is a commitment to purpose, a dedication of mind, body, and the human spirit, culminating in the surreal sense of accomplishment in moments like when Massachusetts pulled away from our pier to do the nation's bidding. To the crew of Massachusetts and your families, the sacrifices that you make and what you do for our nation are the inspiration that fuels us to be what we are and who we aspire to be. To my fellow shipbuilders, thank you for your relentless drive to support the resilient and dedicated men and women of our nation's Navy. My sincerest congratulations to each and every American on this remarkable day. May God bless all shipbuilders across this great nation, this wicked, stealthy submarine, and her formidable crew. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wilkinson. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Seth Moulton.
Good morning. I want to start by saying something simple to every sailor standing here today. Thank you. Thank you not just for being here, but for what you have all signed up to do. For choosing to enlist in the silent service, in the deep, in the dark, doing some of the most demanding and consequential work in the entire United States military. Your families know the sacrifice, the long months away from home. This community knows that sacrifice and that service. And today, it's important that we honor it. Admiral Houston, very good to see you, especially. Thank you very much for making this all happen here in Massachusetts. I want the crowd to know that I was honored to sail on another Virginia-class submarine during ICEX, the Navy's Arctic ice exercise, where I shared a stateroom with the Admiral. Now, I am a Marine veteran and was fortunate to go to Iraq twice with the United States Navy. The United States Navy always gives the absolute worst rooms on the ship to the Marines. And so I sure had never shared a stateroom with the Admiral before. Marines also have a lot of energy. We run off crayons. We don't need uranium-235. And I found that as I, exhibiting that energy, repeatedly rolled over in the middle of the night in that Virginia-class stateroom, every time with a bang, as my shoulder crashed into the rack just inches above me, emerging with bruises the next morning, it gave me an appreciation for how everyone on this ship will live and the tough work that you all do. I also will say the food is pretty good, though. They say that Massachusetts is the cradle of liberty, and for good reason. From the first shots fired at Lexington and Concord to the wars of Boston, the spirit of American independence was forged on our shores. It was Massachusetts that gave the Revolution its voice, and it was Massachusetts that gave the early Navy its strength. Now, at the risk of correcting the governor, yes, the USS Hannah was constructed in Beverly, but it was out of Marblehead, manned and led by Marbleheaders, which also happens to be the birthplace of marine aviation. But for the name Massachusetts, there's simply no name in American naval tradition that carries more weight, more history, or more meaning. Not just for those of us here in the Commonwealth, but for everyone who understands where this nation came from. Now, this is the 8th vessel to carry the name Massachusetts. We can trace the lineage back to 1791 when the USRC Massachusetts became the very first revenue cutter to enter active service. There was a USS Massachusetts in the Mexican-American War. There was one in the Civil War. There was a pre-dreadnought battleship that patrolled the coast and trained midshipmen at the turn of the 20th century. And then there was Big Mammy. USS Massachusetts BB-59, the South Dakota-class battleship commissioned in 1942, built right here at the Fore River Shipyard. Fired the first and last 16-inch shells of World War II. The crew of this new USS Massachusetts carries this legacy forward. The technology at their disposal would have been unimaginable to those on Big Mammy. But I think they would have recognized the same spirit of her sailors, the sense of duty, of readiness, of quiet excellence. And make no mistake that quiet is the point. A submarine you never see, operating in waters you can't track, is one of the most powerful forces for peace that this nation has ever built. It's a powerful force for deterrence, to prevent wars from happening. Because America should be spreading peace, not starting wars. Massachusetts has been sending sailors to sea since before we were a country. It's in our DNA, and it always has been. And it's fitting that we are commissioning this boat just weeks away from our country's 250th birthday. It's entirely right that as our country turns a sprightly 250 years old, a submarine named Massachusetts is joining the fleet, powered by ingenuity, crewed by American volunteers, carrying forward the same mission that has defined the Commonwealth since the very beginning, defending freedom. To the officers and crew of the USS Massachusetts, you inherit a name that has been carried with honor for over 2 centuries. You now carry it beneath the waves, in service to a nation that was born here in this harbor, in this Commonwealth. May this boat always find deep water and a safe harbor. May she stand watch over a peaceful world, and may she never have to fire a shot in anger. Fair winds and following seas, and God bless.
Thank you, Representative Moulton. Ladies and gentlemen, Admiral William Houston.
I don't think Rep. Moulton slept at all on the submarine when I was there, so if he's banging his shoulder, he must have been hitting a passageway or something like that. But Congressman Moulton, it's great to have you here, sir, and it's great to see you again. Good morning, everybody. What a wonderful day. It's especially for the commanding officer, Mike Sietsma, officers and crew of Massachusetts. They have spent years waiting for this. The General Dynamics electric boat, HII and Newport News shipbuilding teams, the ship sponsor, Sheryl Sandberg. The crew is the luckiest crew in the world to have you as their sponsor. The many families and friends who stand behind the crew. And as we talk about thanks to the Navy sailors, it's really the Navy families that make the Navy strong. So let's give a big round of applause to those Navy families again. My grandfather's from Massachusetts, my mom's from Massachusetts. I'm a diehard Red Sox fan, and it's just great to be here. Massachusetts played a huge role in our nation's independence. From the shot heard round the world, just a short distance from here, over 250 years ago, American forces under cover of night manned Dorchester Heights and drove the British out of Boston, never to return again. And once again, Massachusetts is playing a critical role in our security. Commander Sietsma, your crew represents the best that our Navy and our nation have. You have trained relentlessly to bring this warship to life. You have earned the trust placed in you. To our sponsor, Ms. Sandberg, thank you for your enduring support for this crew and the ship. I was fortunate enough to be present when Massachusetts was christened, and I still think they're picking up the shards of the champagne bottle you smashed against it. It was an incredible shot, incredible. To the families here today, your service is essential, and the crew cannot succeed without you. To the crew, you are the custodians of this mighty warship and its legacy. Take care of the ship and take care of each other. The United States has the most powerful Navy in the world. We have the most advanced warships and the best trained sailors. The United States Massachusetts will soon take its place in a long line of ships that have protected this nation in times of peace and war for the past 250 years. Sea power has been decisive in every moment of our nation's history. George Washington put it plainly, without a decisive naval force, we can do nothing, and with it, everything honorable and glorious. Submarines like Massachusetts give us the asymmetric advantage wherever and whenever we need it because it's wicked stealthy. Now I have the pleasure of introducing our next speaker. He's a naval officer, he's an intelligence officer, he has worked in counterterrorism, he has gone to games here in Fenway while he's going to law school at a school that you probably know well in the area, and he is our General Counsel of the United States Navy and an incredible leader. General Counsel David Denton, would you please join me?
Governor Healy and Representative Moulton, thank you for welcoming the Navy to Boston for the historic commissioning of the USS Massachusetts. And Captain Pimentel, members of the commissioning committee, thank you for your tireless work to make this event as special as this boat and this crew deserve. Admiral Houston, Vice Admirals Goucher and Thief, Rear Admiral Rucker, thank you for your leadership, your service, and your stewardship of the Navy's submarine force. To our Medal of Honor winners, Captain Kelly, Sergeant Major Payne, Staff Sergeant Pitts, your heroism in battle is an inspiration, and you honor us by being here today. And Captain Kelly, your lifelong commitment to serve is the absolute model of dedication to duty, so it is fitting to have you help set the first watch today. To the Gold Star families who are with us, words cannot capture the debt that our nation owes to you, and to all those who know so personally what it means to give the last full measure of devotion. To our friends and allies here from Australia and the United Kingdom, today is a great opportunity to celebrate the President's commitment to be full steam ahead on the AUKUS partnership. Boston has historically not been terribly welcoming to those who serve in the name of His Majesty the King, but today we are proud to have you stand with us. To our sponsor, Sheryl Sandberg, shipbuilders, families, distinguished guests, and most importantly, the crew of USS Massachusetts, it's a privilege to stand before you as the General Counsel of the Department of the Navy as we place the USS Massachusetts into commission. Today, in bringing her to life, we do more than add another hull to our fleet. We reaffirm an enduring principle that has secured this nation across generations. When America builds, America leads. And there is an unbreakable bond between those who make and those who serve. That bond delivers what underwrites the very security and prosperity of this nation: credible, conclusive combat power. USS Massachusetts is the 25th Virginia-class nuclear submarine, one of the most complex machines ever devised, the embodiment of the best of American industry and ingenuity. She is engineered to operate in silence. So much for silence. She gives adversaries pause by the mere possibility of her presence beneath the waves. And when called upon, she can defeat any foe. She is the product of an industrial base that has endured disruption, internalized hard lessons, and is emerging more capable. To the shipbuilders and engineers that made today possible, you are, quite simply, the vanguard of peace through strength. American shipbuilding is not defined by steel alone. It is defined by the people who shape it, by your craftsmanship, your discipline, and your commitment to precision. We should be pleased beyond measure by the accomplishment that USS Massachusetts represents, but we must not be satisfied. The strategic environment is dynamic. Our competitors are adapting, they are watching, and they are testing not only our technological dominance on the seas, but also our resolve. Sustaining our advantage will require continued investment in people, in infrastructure, and in the technological backbone that connects them. It'll require institutional honesty and a new generation of tools that can accelerate timelines and compress the distance between concept and capability. We cannot rest on the laurels of a tradition we have inherited, nor can we accept mere incremental improvement. Defending that tradition requires continuous transformation in a relentless, defiant pursuit of excellence. Ms. Sandberg, I want to say a word about your role in the tradition of vessel sponsorship. Since the Navy's founding, sponsors have served not as ceremonial figures, but as enduring members of a ship's life and identity. They become part of the crew, entrusted to bestow divine protection and good luck. And you of all people know that the harder you work, the luckier you get. Your commitment to this boat and her sailors is both meaningful and enduring. Your advocacy for them, for the industrial base that got them here and will support them, and for the undersea force of which they are a part, will sustain them through moments of challenge and change on every patrol across every ocean. On behalf of the Department and the Navy family, we thank you for accepting this lifelong charge. As you've heard, this boat is the latest in a long line of naval vessels to bear the name Massachusetts, a tribute to a Commonwealth whose legacy is inseparable from the American experiment itself. So as we celebrate the 250th anniversary of our nation's independence this year, it's a unique privilege to hold this event in Boston today. The waters of Boston Harbor now hold both the newest and the oldest ships in the commissioned service of the U.S. Navy. The USS Constitution and the USS Massachusetts share the same waters where the Sons of Liberty first struck a blow for America. And we commission her in the shadow of the Dorchester Heights, where American cannon expelled the last invaders to threaten this Commonwealth. Following that victory, on March 28, 1776, 250 years ago today, the Massachusetts General Court sent a letter of thanks to George Washington. It said, "When the liberties of America were attacked by the violent hand of oppression, the inhabitants of this and the other American colonies, impelled by self-preservation and the love of freedom, forgetting their domestic concerns, determined, resolutely and unitedly, to oppose the sons of tyranny." To the crew of the Massachusetts, that is your charge, to oppose tyranny and protect freedom with the same determination, resolution, and unity that first won our nation's liberty. And the ethic with which you must do so is equally tied to the Commonwealth for which your boat is named. New England's storied tradition of pragmatism, industry, self-reliance, inventiveness, and commitment both to neighbor and to nation. A little Yankee ingenuity may come in handy now and then. The Massachusetts is a boat of extraordinary capability, but capability alone does not confer advantage. You do. Your training, your discipline, and your judgment will determine how that capability is employed. You will operate in one of the most unforgiving environments on Earth, unseen and unheard, but always essential. You must be deliberate, patient, and when necessary, decisive. That is the profession you have chosen, and America is stronger because you have chosen it. Your boat's motto, Pro Patria, may be taken from John F. Kennedy's famous challenge, but no one ever needs to ask what the sailors of the Silent Service do for their country. Today is more than a commissioning. It is a recognition of years of disciplined, often unseen effort, a proud day for American shipbuilding, a consequential day for the Navy, and a meaningful day for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. A reminder of the standard the nation expects from her Navy: excellence without exception and readiness without pause. To the crew, you are entrusted with the culmination of this collective effort. You stand in an unbroken line with 250 years of those who answered the nation's call to sail into danger on the high seas, anytime, anywhere, with honor, courage, and commitment. Take this boat forward with confidence, knowing you carry the trust of a nation and the legacy of those who came before. May God bless the USS Massachusetts, her sponsor, and her crew. May God bless the United States Navy, and may God bless America.
Thank you, Mr. Denton. Admiral Houston, I'd be honored if you would now place Massachusetts in commission.
I would be very honored to do that. On behalf of the President of the United States and for the Secretary of the Navy, I hereby place the United States ship Massachusetts in commission. May God bless and guide this warship and all who shall sail in her.
Thank you, Admiral Houston. Executive Officer, hoist the colors and commission pennant.
Aye, aye, sir. Ship's company, attention! The commission pennant in professional navies began to take form in the late 17th century. All ships at that time were sailing ships, and it was often difficult to tell a naval warship from a merchantman. Navies began to adopt long, narrow pennants to be flown from their ships at the mainmast head to distinguish themselves from merchant ships. The commission pennant will fly continuously until the ship is decommissioned. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise as I direct your attention to the ship's sail as we hoist the colors and commission pennant. Quartermaster, hoist the colors and commission pennant.
Aye, aye, sir.
Captain, the colors and commission pennant are flying proudly over USS Massachusetts.
Very well, XO.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
I will now read my orders. From Commander Naval Military Personnel Command to Commander Michael J. Siedma, United States Navy. Subject, Buper's Order Number 0798 of 01 April 2024. When directed by Reporting Senior, detach from present duty and report to Pre-Commissioning Unit, Massachusetts, as Commanding Officer. Upon commissioning of USS Massachusetts, report for duty as Commanding Officer. Admiral Houston, United States ship Massachusetts is in commission, and I am in command. Thanks, sir. Executive Officer, set the first watch.
Aye, aye, sir. Officer of the deck, set the first watch.
Aye, aye, sir.
The officer of the deck is the commanding officer's direct representative, and while on watch, is responsible for the safety and smooth operation of the ship. The long glass is the traditional symbol of an officer of the deck's authority and the ship of the line. We are honored to have Captain Thomas G. Kelly, United States Navy, retired with us today. He will assist in setting the first watch by passing the long glass to our first ship's duty officer, Lieutenant Commander John Collins from Tecumseh, Michigan. Petty Officer of the Deck is Sonar Technician Submarine Second Class Reagan Mott from New Braunfels, Texas. And our topside sentry, Electrician's Mate Second Class Marissa Edwards from Bohemia, New York. And our bosun's mate of the watch is Bosun's Mate First Class Kelsey Webb from Danville, Illinois.
Set the watch. On deck. Section 1.
Sir, the watch is set.
Very well. Captain, the watch is set.
Very well, XO. The spirit of a U.S. Navy warship is the embodiment of her sponsor. Our sponsor, Ms. Sheryl Sandberg, christened this ship at Newport News, Virginia on May 6, 2023, and imbued the ship and crew with her sense of devotion and grace. Sheryl, I'd be honored if you would give the order to man our ship and bring her to life.
This is huge. The USS Massachusetts is huge. This crowd is huge. This accomplishment is, and this moment is huge. In 3 months, our nation is going to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. But as many people here know, the Navy celebrated that same milestone last October. What does that tell us? It tells us that we don't have a Navy because we have a country. We have a country because we had a Navy. Today, we add a page to that great naval history in the harbor where American history began. It was here that the original New England Patriots kicked off our nation's march to freedom. They conceived of a nation that would, as our Constitution says, secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. This submarine now sets out to defend those same hard-earned blessings, and that is because the fight for freedom never ends. As the crew of the Massachusetts takes up this torch, they are an extension of our past. They are the pride of our present, and they become the hope for our future. Now, this submarine first got on my radar in 2015, you know, when a whole bunch of you were in high school. That spring, I received a call from then Secretary of the Navy, Ray Mabus. He had a really surprising invitation for me to sponsor a nuclear submarine. Now, as someone who's been involved in a lot of marketing strategies, my first thought was, that has to be outside of anyone's budget. But he told me not to worry, the Navy had all the funding. It was an honorary position going back in naval history 180 years. I was going to serve as the ship's godmother. I accepted with enthusiasm, although I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know that this would be the coolest thing I've ever done. I didn't know that this would give my family and me the chance to learn from the bravest and most dedicated leaders we will ever have the chance to meet. Leaders like Admiral Houston and Mr. David Denton, who honor us here today with their presence. Leaders like the great Governor Healy, who has been such a good champion of this submarine which bears the name of her beloved state. Leaders like the men I so proudly stand next to, Commander Mike Sietsma, who has poured his heart and soul into preparing this warship and these sailors. He sets people up to do their very best for themselves, for their shipmates, and for their country. It has been a masterclass up close to watch him, along with XO Hightower and Cobb Brennan, inspiring and instructing. Commander Siedzma, I could not admire you more.
I don't want to cry.
Leaders like incoming Commander Officer Derek Burney, the right officer to lead Massachusetts through her first deployment, and Captain Eric Lundberg, who laid the foundation as her first commanding officer. Leaders like Vice Admiral Mike Miller, who changed my life by helping me find my voice. Back in 2011, you know, when a lot of you were in middle school, Admiral Miller asked me to deliver the Forrestal Lecture at the U.S. Naval Academy. The topic was leadership, and I spoke about how great leaders don't develop people just like them, they develop everyone. And I spoke about the challenges women still face in the workforce. And then for the very first time in my whole life, I urged women to lean in. Which brings me to my favorite thing about Massachusetts. She is in the first block of submarines intentionally designed to be sailed by both women and men sailors. Yes! So in addition to this boat protecting our interests abroad, she is the symbol of a fairer and a fiercer future. Like all Virginia-class subs, she is exceptional, an apex predator, as Admiral Houston says. She can traverse the world's oceans undetected, carrying 24 advanced capability torpedoes and 12 Tomahawks. She has earned Submarine Squadron 8's Battle Efficiency E in 2023 and 2025. I don't want to pretend I actually know what that means, but I've been told that she's likely the only warship to have earned this distinction twice before commissioning. As I said before, this is huge. Leaders like former Secretary of the Air Force Debbie Lee James, only the second woman to ever hold that position. Stand up. Secretary James, thank you for supporting this boat as matron of honor for this commissioning and so generously serving on the board of the Lean In Foundation. And most importantly, by far, leaders like the members of this crew who have done the hard work of training for this silent, stealthy service. Everyone who serves in the military makes sacrifices, but those who serve on submarines make amongst the greatest. Every day, you live our highest core values: honor, courage, and commitment. To the family members and friends here cheering on your loved ones, we know the sacrifices you've made and will continue to make in the future. My husband Tom and I have 4 of our 5 children here with us today. As parents, we can only imagine how hard it is to have a loved one go off to sea for an unknown period of time. We hope that any heartache is tempered by intense pride at the amazing accomplishments of these incredible sailors. In 1889, my great-great-grandmother, Hanna Bassa, boarded a very different kind of boat to escape from Lithuania. She and her young children crossed the Atlantic in steerage, where food and space were limited, but rats and cockroaches were not. She wrote about the book in her journal. She wrote, "The seas were rough and our sleeping bunks were 4 high. When the boat rocked, the person on top vomited on those below." Trust me, my great-great-grandmother would have been thrilled with a 3-minute shower. 19 long days later, Hanna arrived at Ellis Island. She came in search of safety and opportunity, and she found them in this country. Had she remained in Eastern Europe, she almost certainly would have died in a Nazi concentration camp. Kana's great-granddaughter, my mother, is here with us today, along with my father, who is a proud veteran. My parents raised me to be deeply grateful to those who serve our country. It is because you prowl the depths of the ocean that the rest of us are safe at home. The United States was born a maritime nation, and our Navy has grown into the most powerful force on earth. Earlier in this ceremony, the national anthem played, and I placed my hand on my heart. I have done that so many times before, and I will do it so many times again. But it will never mean as much to me as it did today, standing with all of you. And now, the commanding officer has received the transfer. The ensign is hoisted. The pennant is broken. The orders have been read. The first watch set, which means there's only one custom left to officially commission this wicked, stealthy submarine. Officers and crew of the USS Massachusetts, man our ship and bring her to life.